After 2 Jetpack Call of Duty titles, this Call of Duty title had very high expectations. This futuristic title was so hyped in fact that its trailer would become one of the most viewed videos on the Call of Duty channel, while also becoming the most disliked. The Call of Duty that I'm talking about this time is Infinite Warfare. Going back 2 years in time, Advanced Warfare would launch to the public in 2014, being the first Call of Duty to be a jetpack COD, removing the more traditional boots-on-the-ground style experience. Many disliking this dramatic change. For example, one YouTube commenter described Advanced Warfare, everything went wrong. I can't think of a good thing besides the nice graphics. This would set the tone for the jetpack era, giving a negative vibe. Now, moving on to the next title, Black Ops 3, this jetpack title would receive more positive reviews than Advanced Warfare. However, many people who disliked Black Ops 2 would go on to dislike this title as well, due to their similarities in gameplay. Not only this, but many people would dislike the whole wall running features and the general non-boots on the ground experience still after Advanced Warfare, and many players were just craving a traditional game at this point, after 2 years of these different futuristic titles. Now moving on to the main focus of the video, in 2016, Infinite Warfare, the third title in a row to feature jetpacks, would release. When Activision would release the trailer for this game, it would receive mass attention and mass criticism. One user online, who I'll quote, described the trailer like a high school media project from 2011. I actually laughed at how poorly it had been constructed, edited, and directed. It would be from this point on when the game would just be set on a trajectory of getting worse and worse. The game releases to the public, coupled with Modern Warfare Remastered. Initial reviews from popular YouTubers would soon follow. Titles such as Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, a critical overview, would come out. Not only this, but OG COD YouTubers like FaZe Jev would have such bad reception to the game that they would only be able to upload a handful of these videos on this game and would be forced to play other titles, otherwise their viewership and dislikes would be awful.
So the 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 videos I made on the game, all of those videos got like so many dislikes just for the game being the game.
His final video on the game, in fact, would receive a 1:14 dislike ratio, Jeff himself commenting 100 dislikes in 5 minutes. Let's go, baby. This just shows how many people disliked it, having such a high ratio of dislikes. The community would not stand the game. Its poor trailer, its poor style, emulating an almost space-like game with its sci-fi theme, and its poor ability to keep the Call of Duty roots alive just dug its own grave. Now, diving deeper into the game, I've only really outlined why it was hated, but let's look specifically at the features of the game that made it hated. Let's start at the campaign, one of the building blocks of Call of Duty. Now, COD is known for its deep and meaningful campaigns, with some campaigns driving COD players to almost tears due to their emotional storylines. However, some reviewers described Infinite Warfare's storyline as a bit thin. Despite this, however, I do have to give credit where credit's due, as many players did enjoy the Infinite Warfare campaign due to its cool graphics and its general storyline. Some people did really enjoy this, but let's take a deeper look at what really sealed the deal for the game, because it certainly was not the campaign. Now, jumping right into it, the multiplayer would bring a very, very poor experience for the players. It had a very unbalanced gunsmith, as well as a very strangely kind of boring system. It was sure to disappoint from day one. Not only this, but all of the maps were very lackluster. Some of the guns that were the best would require tasks to unlock, which kind of gave an almost pay-to-win element to the game, and this just gave a very, very frustrating experience. Not only this, but the majority of the players really just didn't want a jetpack game this year. They'd had Advanced Warfare, they'd had Black Ops 3, they've enjoyed them or they've hated them, and they thought this is enough, but no, this is the third one, which really put the nail in the coffin. It just felt wrong. They didn't want a system that they weren't used to. They wanted to go back to the sort of thing that was very adaptable and very easy to get into. And Infinite Warfare just did not fulfill any of these criteria. It just felt wrong and out of place, and it led many players to quit within weeks of the release of the game. In fact, one commenter on my channel said that I got pretty bored of the multiplayer within my first couple of matches. It simply felt like another Advanced Warfare in my mind, and that kind of drew me away. Bringing it all together, it seems like the multiplayer really failed due to its core structure being too different to what the average player wanted. Everyone came in wanting a traditional boots on the ground experience after the past 2 years of difference, and they were given another Advanced Warfare or Black Ops 3-like experience, causing many to leave early on and lose interest in the whole franchise. And it seems like with these failures of the more recent Call of Duty titles, nothing can even really compare to the failures of Infinite Warfare. Now, as a more recent player in the franchise, I never really played Infinite Warfare, so never really understood where the hate came from. However, upon researching this topic for this video, I found out that, in fact, before Advanced Warfare, COD Ghosts released. Now, this also happened to be a very controversial game. Now, many did enjoy it, to be fair. As I'm sure you're aware, it was also hated among many, just due to the fact it wasn't a very good game. There wasn't much to it. And so when I was trying to work out what really were the three main things that killed Infinite Warfare, failures of the past 3 titles, the general failures of the campaign for many, and then the multiplayer experience. So I think overall, to sum it up, the reason Infinite Warfare was so hated and the reason it became one of the most disliked YouTube videos of all time was just due to the fact it was so different. People were fed up of not only jetpack CODs, but bad Call of Duty titles at all. This led to Infinite Warfare being the worst year for Call of Duty YouTube, but also for the player base, having to endure a year of just a dry and stale game. And as you've seen from my comments and researching online, it just wasn't exciting and it wasn't a fun play system. And this is really what led to the downfall of the game.